Seriously, Tuesday. Welcome to Tuesday. Hey, welcome to Tuesday Drive. I couldn't do it this morning. I actually wanted to video this morning, but it was kind of dark and it was snowing like the dickens. I mean, since the weather's changed, not the weather. Well, the weather needs to change. Let me put it that way. I've had about enough of snow. I've painted enough snow this year. I'm all good, and I'm ready for some spring weather. And it says "Do not pass" right there, but I guess that guy didn't really care. In last week's Tuesday Drive, we had a really good dialogue in the comments after that, and I really do appreciate those of you who took the time to share your comments, because that's really the intent here. That's what I was hoping would happen. And so that last week's drive, the comments that came after that, actually sort of informed the topic of this week's drive. So in the one subject matter that I thought was that I wanted to talk about was actually the one of the fear that artists face. And so I found a resource. It's a book called Art and Fear by Ted Orland and David Bales, and I'll put a link to that. Well, it won't link, but there'll be a picture right here, and I'll put a link in the description where you can find that book. And it's not a really long book, and I'm probably about 3/4 of the way through it, and so I just wanted to talk about what I've discovered so far. So most of these ideas actually come from that book, and I think I may have a quote or two that I'll actually quote word for word. But in general, these are the concepts that are discussed, and I think they relate to the topic that we started last week. So basically, we face two kinds of fears, and the first one is really it's really fears about ourselves, and this one is really, I was trying to figure out which of the two. Well, I'll tell you the second one. The second fear is probably you can already guess it, but it's the fears about how others receive our work. So I was curious, and maybe you can make some comments about this. Which one you think is the most important, and which one is worse? Which fear is worse? The ones that we face ourselves, or the ones our fears about what other people think about what we do? And if you're a person who is able to paint without thought of what other people think about it or care about it, God bless you, because I cannot do that, and it's something that I fight, and I think most of us do, at least those of us that would be completely honest with ourselves. The fears that we face about ourselves really have to do with can I produce good work? Is my work, is it good enough? Will it be good enough? Am I ever going to get it right? Why can't I do this? These are the things that sneak into our minds, and it's a bit challenging because they tend to happen mostly while you're in the process of painting, which is quite crazy, because you're out there trying to interpret what you see, and you're trying to put it down on canvas, and all of a sudden these thoughts start creeping in. Is that color really that? Am I mixing this correctly? Am I putting these strokes down correctly? Should this be more impasto? Maybe this passage should be a little thinner. And we base all of this on what our own interpretation of of what we think good art is, and whether or not we measure up to it. And these thoughts are going on now. I don't know. I might be just speaking for myself here, but these thoughts are in my mind, and they're there quite frequently. So that obviously that's why I'm bringing them up. And so this second fear, in my opinion, is actually, I find it to be worse than the first fear for me. And that is, how is my work received by other people? The consequence of this second fear is that you lose sight of why you paint in the first place if you spend too much time thinking about what other people like. And as artists, we fight this because as soon as someone tells you what they really like about something that you did, the next time you're out painting, and say this is a person who actually purchased a painting from you, and they really liked, the way you painted this particular grouping of beech trees or whatever it might be, or red barn, or and I say red barn because my wife is always telling me I should paint more barns because people really like them. And that's you have seen many of them on my drive here already, and I probably should, because it would be really good for me to paint structures in the landscape. But anyway, I digress on that. But excuse me. The thoughts that you end up having as it relates to those positive comments that you get from other people, they really, really haunt me when I'm out painting, because I start thinking, wow, I should really go this direction because I got such a great response last time, and I actually sold a couple paintings of this grouping of beech trees, and people really liked it. And so you fight this urge to lean in the direction of what's popular, and I think it has an effect on your ability to just react to the landscape and actually paint from a place of complete inspiration. And okay, so the gap in our work, and this is sort of where we really, I think it's one of the things that we have to wrestle with, and I think it addresses some of our fears, because we can't seem to achieve at the level that we think our effort has led us to achieve. So the what the book said is that the gap between what you intended to do, okay, scratch that. The gap between what you intended to do and what you actually did is sort of where all of this lives. Because when we look at a scene and we decide how we want to paint it, and we launch into this, when we're done, sometimes, especially if we didn't achieve what it was that we set out to do, it's that gap between those two things where most of our doubt in things live. And so what that does what it really reveals is that we have to work at our work. So the paintings that we produce that are in a stack somewhere and have not even maybe been revealed to the public or whatever, I want to speak to the value of those, because they are so extremely valuable, because they're like markers of where you've been and what your discovery process has been like. And so I look at those as examples of working at your work. And it took me a while to figure, here's here's an illustration of what that looks like. I play guitar. Now, I probably could have been a really good guitar player, but here's what I do when I play guitar. If I'm not like reading chord charts and playing, like songs and stuff that I know, then when I'm practicing my guitar, practicing when I'm playing, I just play the same things over and over. And I think it's because I tend to gravitate toward what's comfortable to me. So instead of working on things that are challenging, I prefer to just pick away at what feels good and what comes easy, because I think it makes me feel better about my progress as a guitar player. And really, but in reality, it's accomplishing nothing. And it just means that I'm able to continue to play what I've already learned over and over and over and over. And so the same applies with our painting. And this is what I meant by, we have to work at our work, is we have to find ways to break through and shrink that gap between what we intended to do and what we actually did. And one of the ways that I do that is I try and make myself do the hard stuff, and that's not easy to do, but I really work hard at it. And when I painted 30 nocturnals back in September, I was out every night for the month of September painting nocturnals until 1, 2 o'clock in the morning most of the time in my community. What I was really doing was I was forcing myself out of my comfort zone and making myself do some hard work so that I can continue to move forward and shrink that gap between what I intended to do and what I actually did. So I'm challenged by certain things, and lately I'm really focusing on trees because I'm not where I should be with trees, and occasionally I'll find myself I will lie to myself and say, you don't have time to paint that tree, so forget about it. Just paint a bigger paint a broader landscape where you don't have to deal with the detail of an individual tree. And so to get past that, I'm actually bringing myself a little closer, and you'll see, and in my current teaching video, I'm actually focusing in on trees close-ups for a very specific reason, and I'm actually a big part of that reason. Okay, so what I mean by that is I try and make myself do things that are uncomfortable for me, and I believe that this is the path to it's a method of working at your work. There's this quote in the book, and this is an actual quote. It says, those who challenge their fears continue, and those who don't quit. And I wanted to bring that up because I think that's a really cool quote. And so I think we have to acknowledge what it is that we're afraid of in our abilities, and that gap between what we wanted to create and what we actually created. And we have to continue to challenge those things and actually work on them, because you can't, I have this statement that you can't paint yourself out of it. All right, I want to give you one last thing, and that is, this is a great way to combat this whole scenario, and that is to actually make friends with other people who are painting like you are, and share your progress, share your work with them often, because this, when I say that my philosophy is that we journey together, man, my whole life is built that way, and because I really believe that. And when you journey together with other people, you'll find that where you want to be happens a whole lot faster than if you're journeying by yourself. And there's so much to be gained from sharing what you're doing with other people. It just makes such a massive difference. So the book kind of puts it like this. It says, having a strong support system is important. So it's like, make friends with other people who paint and share your progress frequently. So that's A. And B is, think of A as the destination. Because, oftentimes when we're thinking about our own painting careers, we might be focused on a destination like, I really want that 60-piece one-man show, at this X gallery. And so I'm going to set that on my wall as a goal, and I'm going to work really hard toward that. But I think philosophically what's behind this is, if you make A your goal, that you have a great group of people who are journeying with you on this same path, then that all of that other stuff, and if you go to B and you say, okay, so B is actually, think of A as the destination. If you make that journeying with other people your destination, all of this other stuff, you're going to get all of that anyway. I'm glad that that you're part of my community, and it's so valuable, the comments that you guys share. I really do appreciate those. I take absolutely none of those for granted. It means a great deal to me that, number one, you even spend some of your valuable time watching my videos. Number two, that you would take time to make, in some cases, a really lengthy comment about what I'm up to here. So I hope I hope Tuesday Drive is cool for you, and that you're getting something out of it. And I really do learn a lot myself, and I love talking about it. So anyway, thanks for checking out Tuesday Drive, and I'll catch you later.